Alright everyone, JP the Third back with you with more Suzerain. When we last left off, I had a very consequential decision to make that legitimately could wreck my presidency. Like, here's the thing. We all know it's the right thing to do to pass this legislation. It's the right thing to do. At the same time, though, the budget is about to crater, and I hate it. Y'all are gonna see me lose this. I'm not gonna probably get reelected, but we'll deal with that after we spend some time at home. We're gonna do this first. It was raining as Sergei dropped me off at home after yet another grueling day at work. A guard held an umbrella over my head as I walked from my car to the front door. Inside, the house was completely dark. I flipped on the light in the kitchen to find a note from Monica. Sarah had called her in for a last-minute women's rights meeting. She dropped Diana off at a friend's and left me some food for reheating. I took a pot out of the fridge. It was filled with an unidentified grayish-looking stew. Evidently, Monica's excellent cooking had been the first casualty of her political career. We're gonna order a pizza. I called Sergei and asked him to pick me up a pizza for dinner. While I was waiting for him, I went into the living room to fix myself a drink. Suddenly the phone rang. I went back to the kitchen and answered it. Frank's voice was on the other end. Oh, I thought Mom would pick up. Your mother works harder than I do these days. Oh, right. Nana's gonna have a fit when she gets rid of girls' handicraft classes. There was a long silence. I got that record you sent me. Not bad for old folks music. Just a typical conversation between a father and a son. Peter thought you might like it. How's Uncle Peter doing? Surprisingly well. He's actually seeing a therapist. He may even quit alcohol. Wow. Did I just see a pig fly? So, I've been seeing this new girl at school. Really? What's she like? She's amazing. Brutish, actually. Her parents are big supporters of yours. I shouldn't take it. Oh, I can't wait to meet her. Maybe I'll bring her for dinner next week. The doorbell rang. Sergei was here with my pizza. Good catching up with you, Frank. Yeah, okay. Bye, Dad. We both hung up. I left Sergei in. The pizza he bought was gargantuan. Just leave it on the kitchen table. Enjoy your dinner, sir. Sergei left. I ate my pizza alone by the flickering light of the television, wondering when Monica and Diana would get home. Okay. Oh, the economic zone is finished. Fantastic. I probably could have invited Sergei to stay, but, nah, I want that pizza to myself. USP conservatives try to obstruct administration. Sources from within the Grand National Assembly have informed us that a conservative wing of the USP seems to be intentionally obstructing President Rayne's agenda. From failing to attend committee meetings to delaying bills that the president has attempted to push through, Lori Tory and her fellow conservatives have no apparent motive other than blocking Rayne at every turn. Tory and the president are known to have clashed on the latest constitutional reforms. Could that have prompted her vindictive attitude? Considering that I just made her vice president, that is sad news. Maybe I shouldn't have, after all. The election campaigning efforts have started to pick up speed across Sordland. To become the 5th president of Sordland, the candidates began delivering their speeches at rallies and conventions while the party flags were flying in major cities. The campaign centers are busy with scheduling and organizing events. The exciting times of election are approaching. In the majority of cities, USP appears to be the most prominent, whereas PFJP follows behind along with NFP. It would be thrilling to see the presidential race renewed once again for the fast-approaching election. What? What's this? Family Sordland can breathe easier as a controversial Women's Liberation Act proposed by Minister of Education Walda with the blessing of First Lady Monica Rayne completely failed to pass. This bill, which would have upended Sordish traditional values by forcing undue burden on women in the name of equality, was supported by the president but was struck down by the assembly. Wait, what? Vice President recovering from alcohol. We'll look into that in a second. Former Vice President Peter Vector is a troubled man who has long struggled with alcoholism. The scandal that came to head between himself and President Rayne's secretary, Livia Suno, was the final straw for Peter to realize he needed help. The former VP stepped down from his position to focus on his health, and is beginning his journey to recover from alcoholism. Peter Vector serves as a reminder that anyone from any walk of life can be faced with these challenges and should be helped back to their feet. If you or anyone you know is suffering from addiction, reach out to your local sober Sordland representative. That's nice. I mean, I'm glad things worked out for Peter. Well, worked out in so much as the hole he dug himself in. Go to the radical. Grand opening of Sordland Agricultural Zone. With the grand opening of the Sordland Agricultural Zone, the mayor of the city expressed tremendous gratitude towards the administration. With the region taking the full damage from the recession, the investment has saved thousands of farmers from bankruptcy while allowing new agricultural entrepreneurs new opportunities. I got that right. Agricultural products, especially wheat, are expected to increase substantially. In combination with the city being a free trade zone, Sordland is foreseen to thrive and become a city of trade in the region. So that's good for us. We are basically recovered from the Depression. But what's going on with the bill? That is not the same thing. What? Anti-corruption raids? Yeah, that is not the same thing. Hold on. It is the same thing. What? I am so confused. The news is saying that this bill didn't make it to my desk, but my desk is saying the bill made it. There's got to be a glitch in the system. I don't know what happened there. But it's the right thing to do, and we're just going to swallow it and do right. The economy and the budget took a hit, but it was the right thing to do. Ugh. Plus, I didn't want to end up sleeping on the couch. The Sordland Agricultural Zone is open to the public. Long lines of farmers are waiting in line to apply for the new cooperation opportunities. The opening is expected to increase the agricultural output of Sordland by 40%. As per the reports, agricultural workers from the nearby cities are also migrating, creating an influx of jobs and investments. Great. We're still in a police overwhelmed in remote cities. Since the deployment of the police force to combat the unrest, many attacks have occurred in remote cities. Ambushes are rampant, and the security forces are being pushed back. Police stations and patrols were the main targets of the militants. Unless reinforcements are provided, the current forces are not enough to control the situation. We got gender equality in education. Fantastic. Sordland Agriculture Zone worked. Excellent women's rights. Perfect. We're going to have, hopefully we can get some relief in the budget there. But, human dignity bill? This makes prostitution illegal, but I've already dug myself a hole in the budget, so I can't. The Fair Trade Commission has begun working in assessing the existing trade irregularities and unfairness. The first act of the Commission will be to create new trade regulations to balance import and export differences to ensure local competition can remain strong. Very nice. Radical. Protect Sordland. I'm tired of agreeing with the radical. Ugh. Freaking communist. President Rayne has vetoed the Human Dignity Bill. This bill would have seen sex work become an illegal offense and punishable by law. Sex workers already face high levels of discrimination for reasons. The world of this profession will always exist, but supporting sex workers with laws helps protect the health, safety, and civil and human rights of sex workers. That and I just didn't have the budget to do it. Like, let's be honest. I probably would have, since we are being a centrist performance, I probably would have done it if I had the budget to do it. But I got to get my budget back in line, and right now we're at a -3. So the storm was on the horizon outside my window. The inside of my office, however, was very warm and cozy. I straightened myself on the sofa, sitting next to the fireplace, and looked at Monsoon, who was sitting on the couch across from me. He was here representing all 8 Bludish members of the Assembly. He had dark creases under his eyes from lack of sleep. As I said earlier, we've been working on this bill for a long time, Mr. President. I've always done my best to represent my people, only to keep getting blocked in the Assembly. We can't have the same happen again. I've always brought my people's concerns to the Assembly and raised my voice whenever our rights were in question. All we ask is that the Assembly at least have a proper discussion. But all that we get is disrespect. And be shouting racial slurs at us, not allowing us to speak. Not only the National Front, it's the USP. He sighed. Yes, now I can speak freely without Mrs. Tory leading the floor, but the outcome is no different. The Assembly does not take us independence seriously. We need your help. I understand you, Mr. Lake. This discrimination against you is unacceptable. That's where your help would be very valuable. He gestured at the papers that I received from him earlier. All we need is for your support for our bill. It's time to undo the mistakes of the Sordish state against the citizens. I only ask you help us make this single step for good instead of staying idle. Our proposal aims to form a committee for minority rights, and it will lift the ban on the Bludish Freedom Party, as well as give amnesty to all those who are arrested for having ties to it. Their families are still waiting for them in Bergia. It's not Tarkin Saul's era anymore. It's time we try to clean up the taint he left on our history. Yeah, I'm supporting this. I agree with you completely, Mr. Lake. Thank you for representing this noble cause. This is one of those things where doing the right thing aligns with our politics. If we are seen as helping out the minorities in the country, they're more liable to vote for us, even though, like the Bludish Freedom Party and others they could probably cross the electoral threshold now. Glad to hear, Mr. President. He rubbed his chin. So, we have your support. Yes, I'll form the commission to support your bill in the Assembly. Thank you, Mr. President. He rose up and walked up to me. He extended a hand. It means a lot. Thank you. We shook hands. Suddenly we heard a knock on the door and Lucian entered. Sir, I'm sorry. I thought your meeting was over. Mr. President has already decided. We can call it over, Mr. Galate. I was already leaving. Great. And we must go to the meeting room, sir. One of our new campaign advisors has some plans for the election. He is waiting on us. Let's go. Essert. A lone Rumburgian warplane violated our airspace by entering the territory of Sordland for 2 minutes and left after issuing a radio message. Blatant disregard of our sovereign territory. They want war, they will have it. I promise you that much. Section 1 established a minority rights commission to advocate for the rights of all minorities living in Sordland. Section 2 revokes the ban on the Bludish Freedom Party and any other Bludish political party. Section 3 gives amnesty for every Bludish prisoner who was arrested. Sign it. It's not going to hurt us to sign it. If anything, like I said, it'll help us. Rayne unbans controversial Bludish party. The House of Horse is not happy. The Minority Rights Act has been signed into law by President Rayne after the approval of the Grand National Assembly by a majority vote on Wednesday following a 3-hour debate. Again, this would not have come through if Tory was still in charge. While the name suggests differently, the main purpose of this act is to normalize, legalize, and even justify the Bludish separatist sentiment that revokes the ban on the Bludish Freedom Party, which was previously closed for their close ties to the militant Bludish Freedom Front, and gives amnesty for previous Bludish political prisoners who might have been involved with crimes against the Sordish people. Minority Rights Act side. And a surprising move, the USP administration and President Rayne have decided to do something right for the Bludish citizens by signing the Minority Rights Act into law. While we don't know whether the Minority Rights Commission that will be formed as part of this act will actually manage to decrease racial inequality, The new law tries to undo past mistakes by revoking the ban on the Democratic Party of the BFP and give amnesty to Sol-era prisoners who have been prosecuted under ridiculous accusations. Ray's move to reverse Arkansas's ban on the BFP has been welcomed by many Bluish citizens. Manson Lake, who campaigned heavily for this bill, also sought to express his gratitude for the confirmation of the new rules, saying it's a step in the right direction for the Bluish people. It is. I mean, again, this is one of those rare times where the right political thing and the right moral thing are aligned. The option to fund a political youth group? No. Both of y'all cause enough trouble. Buzz off. We got some tax bills in front of us here. So this can start addressing our budget problem, but either way, we're going to get a little bit of a hit, I think. No matter what we do. But we've got to do what we can to try and Fair Luxury Tax Act. This is a consumption tax. We're gonna sign it. I know people won't. Oh Jesus! I broke my economy. No! No! I broke the economy. No, we're going. No. Low last checkpoint. Not worth it. Not worth it. I'll just take the hit. I was doing so well, and then I wasn't. I thought, hey, consumption tax, that'll work. No, we were in the green. We're staying in the green. No. Oh, it's too close. We're not going to do that. All right, so we're going to veto that. Nope. We're just going to have to live with that -3 budget. So, alcohol tax. 25. This is another consumption tax, but with only +1 government budget. Will this wreck my economy? Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. We can live with that. Oh, Jesus. Like, I can live with that. I can live with that. That's still in the green. That's basically, that's okay. But I couldn't, like, if we dip back into the yellow on that level of consumption, and it's because the it's because that a luxury tax hits the oligarchs the hardest, really. Wayne puts a lid on alcohol consumption. The Grand National Assembly has signed the alcohol tax to deter excessive amounts of alcohol consumption that has recently been plaguing Sordland. Drunken disorderly youth will quickly learn that their actions have consequences. So the Horosol Post, which is fairly conservative, supports it. The Assembly has vetoed an amendment known as the Fair Luxury Tax Act. This harmful bill would have imposed a tax hike on personal items, including jewelry, coats, and cars. The Rayne administration has protected necessary product purchases and loving gifts that would have been considered luxury products by the Grand National Assembly. The government knows the value of hard-earned money and letting you spend it the way you deserve. Tax. Finally, the radical and I are on different sides of the table, the way it should be. If you can afford to purchase luxury products such as sports cars, yachts, and private planes, you can afford a fair tax system on these products. Instead, the Rayne administration has vetoed the act that would have seen a 15% tax increase on luxury goods. Sordland has struggled through a recession for years, and tax increases on unnecessary luxury products would be a step forward in fixing that damage. No, it will not. We have all seen the cost of such a move. We are not going to be quite that foolish again. Dear God, like, no. No. Emergency call in an escalating situation. I was woken up in the middle of the night by a call from the Ministry of Defense. Due to the sensitivity of the information, I had to be urgently briefed in person. This is probably about that plane. I put on my clothes as fast as I could. I rushed downstairs and opened the door. Sergei was waiting for me. Mr. President, this way to the car, please. We got into the car and made our way to the Ministry of Defense building without a word. I arrived and was directed downstairs. I came to a set of large doors and quickly read the sign above them. The sign read, War Room. The dimly lit room was filled with cutting-edge equipment, the latest video screens, long-range radio electronics, and other devices used for communication, presentation, and planning. The centerpiece of the room was a large round table with the coat of arms of Sordland engraved on it. David, Lucian, Vulcan, and Yosef were already in deep discussion. Mr. Lancia, I advise caution. Going to war won't help anyone. We must maintain peace in Sordland and Eastern Markovia at all costs. What do you expect us to do? Sit down and do nothing? They're testing us. We must respond immediately. Otherwise they will think we are weak. What's going on here? Mr. President, thank you for coming in at this late hour. There's a situation. Vulcan, please go ahead and provide your report. Mr. President, approximately 20 minutes ago, Rumburg downed one of our planes with anti-aircraft fire from the ground. The pilot was declared KIA. The last recorded position of the plane was inside Sordish airspace. General Kruger, I mean no offense, but are we absolutely sure that is the case? Are you sure this happened within our borders? No offense taken. Here are the locations on the map and a report from the airbase. He pointed to several markers on the map. To answer your question, yes, we are absolutely sure. You can see here on the map that the plane was down approximately 10 kilometers inside our borders. We have calculated the trajectory of the gunfire, and they started firing when our plane was within our borders. The plane was down near Halton. How dare they? This is an attack against our sovereignty. Mr. President, I must insist. We need to be calm. We must maintain peace. I agree. They're trying to lure us into their trap. We have enough military power to contest against this violation of international law. Let me try that again. We have enough military power to contest against this violation of international law. We should attack and down one of their planes in retaliation. Otherwise, we will look weak, and it will lead to more casualties. We can't look weak. If we appear weak, they will jump on the opportunity. We must order a military retaliation immediately. I agree with the general. Mr. President, our army is ready to do whatever it takes to protect Sordland. Gentlemen, before it comes to that point, we can prevent further bloodshed by using diplomacy. Rumor fell silent before Yosef finally spoke up. Mr. President, what are your orders? Now, normally I agree with David. Normally I do. But when it's this blatant, and when it's in this particular era of human history, we have to retaliate. We don't have to go all out. We don't have to invade, but we have to send a message. An eye for an eye. We will retaliate with equal force to display our strength. Sordland can't afford to look weak. Very well. If there is to be retaliation, we need to be extremely careful. They will seek every opportunity to blame us for it. We can't further escalate the situation and destabilize the region. We need to prevent a war at all costs. I'm saying this as a man who has lived through too many years before. We are not the ones who escalated the situation. They were first. Mr. President, I assure you, they wouldn't dare attack us for that. They know we are far superior. This will send a strong message. I will send word for the start of a military operation. Our target will be their warplanes at an airbase near the border. I still think a peaceful solution would be more beneficial. Of course, I don't have the military experience and insight Mr. Lancia has. I'll begin my task immediately, Mr. President. If you will excuse me now, I must talk to the military command to relay the orders. Before he left the room, he saluted. I will bring the paperwork. Yosef returned with the paperwork for the order and showed me where to sign. I signed off on the operation. Now that the paperwork is done, I have an idea, Mr. President. I think we should hold a military parade to display our strength. I am with Mr. Lancia on this one. This should work well as a deterrent, and it will come in handy as a tool to de-escalate the situation. That is a good idea. Something the entire national security apparatus agrees on. Simple and effective without causing any ruckus. That makes sense. Organize the military parade. Understood. That is all, Mr. President. I'll keep you updated on the situation. For now, have a good night's sleep. You will need it. I couldn't sleep at all that night. Tensions are getting worse. I mean, there is no way to avoid it. There will be war. As a response to Rumburg downing a Sordish warplane, I ordered a counterattack with similar magnitude, and we will hold a military parade. The question is only at this point whether or not we'll win it. Sordish plane shot down. The Sordish airplane has been shot down by Rumburgian anti-aircraft guns, allegedly for violating Rumburgian airspace. Government officials said the airplane was shot inside the airspace of Sordland. Our plane was shot down when it was flying near Hagen over the territory of Sordland by an anti-aircraft missile. Our pilot didn't threaten Rumburg in any way, said Joseph Lancia, the Minister of Defense. Despite the revealed evidence from Sordish officials, the Queen of Rumburg, Beatrice Livingston, had the guts to claim that our plane was shot for violating their airspace. This is truly a heinous act purposely done by our rivals in the north. This tragic event will have severe consequences for Sordland-Rumburg relations. Agreed. Urgent meeting. I was sitting right across from David in the White Room after he scheduled an urgent meeting. I knew the matter must have been serious. He insisted on waiting for Joseph and Lucian, so we did. Lucian entered the room with Joseph by his side. Mr. President, we came as fast as we could. Mr. President, Mr. Risi, what is going on? David cleared his throat. Welcome, everyone. Due to the potential ramifications, I wanted everyone to be present for this meeting. We have received an envoy from Arcasia. They are requesting a state visit. Judging from the current climate, it is not hard to see what this is about. ATO is always trying to expand its influence after all. They will most likely try to convince us to join. In addition, as part of this state visit, the White Walker will, of course, meet with you in person, Mr. President. There's a lot we could gain from this visit. With all due respect, are you out of your mind? Mr. Lancia. I did not say anything. This is madness. We cannot even consider accepting this. I bet he will come asking for cooperation under the guise of enforcing their demands to join ATO. This will antagonize half of the world against us, and we are going to be at the forefront of the battle. If you are approaching this from the perspective of national defense, then don't. We are in a better shape than we were ever before. I assure you, we don't need any outside help. Definitely not from the White Walker. We will make do somehow. Let's see what he wants first. I will decide when I talk to him. We need to be careful. Mr. Walker never gives anything for free. There will be some concessions for sure. Mr. Visi, you are our most experienced foreign policy expert. What is your take on this? What do you think is the right action? Well, tension is increasing rapidly, Mr. President, and I am worried about the future. One misstep and the whole world might be engulfed in chaos. I'm afraid it might not be possible to stay neutral in this case. Our geopolitical position is simply too important. Soon we will have to take a side. If we don't pick a side, we may end up right in the middle of a potential conflict. I am of the opinion that this is an opportunity we can't miss. It all boils down to your decision. But I'd say we should at least listen to what the White Walker has to say. Lucian, what do you think? We've heard our experts. You're the one who has to decide, sir. Lucian trusting us? What is this madness? Very well. Accept our offer. I'll send our response immediately. Then there is a tiny detail we need to get over. With it. How should we welcome the delegation, sir? A military welcome is in order. They need to see our might. As you wish, I have taken note. I think that is all for today. Thank you for attending. As we disperse, the world map hanging on the wall in the room caught my attention. I walked over to it. How often were the lines on the world map redrawn over the recent decades? What about the future? Crime has been reduced. Enter. Oh, here we go. Our police force. Okay, we need to. However, some suspected individuals that violated security criteria have been apprehended. So far, I mean, we're reducing crime, but because we haven't come down with an iron fist, I guess that's why we're in that situation. The door to the car opened and flashes went off. The White Walker, President of Arcasian. USA. Head of ATO came out of the car, smiling and waving at the enormous crowd that had gathered. It was not every day an Arcasian president came to visit Sordland, after all. Next to the moon carpet to the palace, Sordish troops were lined up. Sordish war planes flew above our heads, painting the sky with the colors of the Sordish flag. As soon as President Walker stepped on the carpet, all of the soldiers performed the heart salute. Celebratory gunshots were fired. Trumpets started playing a Sordish march. Along with Monica, I started walking over to meet him midway. Finally, I was in reaching distance to one of the most powerful men in the world. I looked at Monica first, bowed, and kissed her hand for a second longer than I liked. Mr. Rayne, if you had told me I will get to meet with your lovely wife, I would have come sooner. I am charmed, Mrs. Rayne. Oh my. Thank you, Mr. Walker. It's a pleasure to meet you. No, the pleasure is all mine, Mrs. Rayne. Hope your wife and the family are well. They are very well, Mrs. Rayne. Thank you. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it here today. And who do we have here? Mr. President, it is so good to finally meet with you. We shook hands. It is really good to see you, Mr. President. I assure you the feeling is mutual. That's why I'm here, in fact. On our way to the entrance, we stopped in front of General Vulcan, who was in charge of the troops. General? President Walker saluted Vulcan and the soldiers. They saluted back. As soon as our inspection finished, we entered the palace. Mr. President, one would think you are prepared to go to war with me instead, he laughed. I laughed at his joke. We started walking towards the reception hall in the palace. Our path was cleared of people at once. We were simply looking around at the extraordinary interior design of the Moon Palace. Statues, paintings, and various ornaments filled both sides of the corridor. We passed the corridor and entered the reception hall. The crowd inside was composed of various political and state figures. Upon our entry, they started clapping. Dry martinis were handed to both of us. Everyone, let's give a warm welcome to our guest of honor. People started clapping. Thank you, President Rayne. It is really good to be here. And thank you, everyone, for the warm welcome. With another thunderous round of applause, the jazz band started playing. President Walker and I separated and started mingling with the crowd. The recession was in full swing. After some time chatting with the attendees, President Walker approached us. He bowed before my wife. Mrs. Rayne, can I call you Monica? She looked over at me before smiling at him. He is laying it on thick. Yes, of course, if I can call you Dwight. He took her hand and they started dancing. I turned around to talk to the waiter. I was into my third martini when I heard a whistle. I turned around and saw Monica dancing very closely with President Walker. All eyes in the room were on them. President Walker grabbed Monica's waist. President Walker, why don't we have a chat somewhere quiet? Right when we were getting to the good part. Fine, let's have a chat. The President and I swapped our drinks for elderly maroon 30-year-olds. I knew a special spot. With our drinks in hand, we went down the stairs to the basement. Gradually, the music and the sound of the party started to fade away. We arrived at a cozy little corner of the office with not much inside other than a table and comfortable chairs. Interesting to show, they showed a lot of Dwight Walker's character without, actually having to say a lot. He took a seat and I followed suit. He pulled out 2 cigars. It would be a joke with this picture to say that I don't smoke. I took one of the cigars. He pulled out a Ripple lighter and lit my cigar before lighting his own. I heard you got into a scandal. Truly unfortunate chain of events. Indeed, he grinned. Relax. It's just a scandal and I'm no reporter. I just made it out alive. Wow. I just made it out alive of a bad one myself. Oof. It was a rough one, too. You get used to it. A couple of people in prison, a couple of people silenced. You know the drill. Cheers to your survival then, Mr. Rayne. We cleaned our glasses and took a sip. This is a really good one. Very smoky. I like it. I'm glad you liked it. He took a puff from his cigar, filling the small room with smoke. Definitely miles better than Vogtlandian whiskey. But I like lesbian whiskey more. It pairs bitter with their cigars. You see, Mr. Rayne, whiskeys are a little bit like countries. Some are stronger, some are weaker, some are older, some are younger. Many are complex, but sometimes simple is the best. I personally like stronger whiskeys in general. That's why I like this one. Yes, it's definitely promising. But whatever you drink, in the end, it all boils down to your own tastes. And I assure you, Mr. Rayne, my sense of taste is very refined. What type of whiskey do you like? I like complex flavors. As good as they are, they can get tiring. You told Dad to try to loosen a little. You know why I'm here. I want to make you an offer. I'm listening. Good. Listen closely. Times are changing, and so is the balance of the world. Soon, instead of a fractured world, soon, instead of a fractured world, we will see a more united world. There is us, ATO, against them. I want you by our side, the winning side. I think there is much we can achieve together. You have shown me the proof. Our friend Lesbia is our friend as well. If you accept, I would like to extend you a warm welcome to ATO as a full member state. This, of course, comes with a lot of privileges and responsibilities. At ATO, we protect each other. We have a mutual defense clause in the case of war. Join us, Mr. Rayne, and you will have the entire backing of ATO. Soldiers, jet fighters, warships, whatever you like. During peacetime, you will see the effects even more. Our combined production output will benefit both Sordland and ATO. We will have free trade zone agreements, free visa access, investments, you name it. All I ask in return is mutual loyalty to one another in the pact. The Sordish Armed Forces will be a member of the ATO military structure. All branches, be it air, navy, army, will collaborate with the Alliance network. We will provide assistance and training for free. Our armies will learn how to fight together and be stronger than ever in the face of the millennialist threat. Let's make history, here, tonight. What do you say? There are so many different ways you can answer this. Right now, though, for me, like, the logical answer probably would be for some to join in, and that takes Rumburg off the table entirely. But we have to remember a couple of things. We have to remember what Gloria said. If we're going to be progressive in terms of minority and women's rights, we have to throw the kind of nationalist, further right-leaning people in the country a bone. So we have to be strong and militaristic in certain areas. We also got to keep the military defense and the military defense. We got to keep the defense ministry, the military, all under one banner as well. Hopefully there's a sequel or some kind of DLC, because I would like to see this kind of Cold War relationship expanded on further. But for now, I will politely decline. Thank you for the offer. However, we currently have no plans to enter ATO. At least I know I tried. Don't close yourself to the opportunity. Maybe you're not ready now, but you might be ready in the future. I usually get what I want, Mr. Rayne. And trust me, you won't get rid of me that easily. He smiled and we shook hands. Regardless, it was good to meet with you. I hope this is the start of something good. He grabbed his glass and downed the remaining whiskey. Now it starts to taste better. Let's go upstairs, Mr. Rayne. This was definitely a typo. I have a few more. Let's go upstairs and join the party, Mr. Rayne. I have a few more dance moves to show off. It was a necessary decision. This keeps the military loyal to us. This gives the harder right conservatives in the country kind of on our side, because I'm sending the message that I believe that we're strong enough to stand on our own. And hopefully it'll help in the long term. Hopefully it'll help in the long term if there's DLC or a sequel. Because we're not just giving in and giving Arcasia whatever they want. if we were to ever form a partnership with them, it would be a partnership of equals, not everybody following behind Arcasia against Cantana. After weeks of late nights, Monica, Ciara, and the Women's Rights Commission have succeeded in getting their bills through the Assembly. It was as comprehensive as they could have hoped for. I was looking forward to celebrating with my wife, but it had been hours since I got home and she still wasn't there. I was dozing on the couch after yet another frozen TV dinner when I heard the key turn the lock. Monica stumbled in the hall. Honey, I'm home. I kissed her. Her breath smelled like gin. She was having a good time. I was just having a few drinks with Ciara. As long as that's all it was. As long as that was all it was. I can't believe we did it, Anton. I can't believe we did it. Anton, this is such amazing news. She hiccuped. You could have invited me to the celebrations. Oh, you would have found it. You would have found it boring. And somebody had to look after Diana. I believe you're turning into a politician, Mrs. Rayne. Get used to it, baby. I imagine if she did the whole wink and gun thing. Seriously, Anton, this is what I want to do. I never felt so alive. I opened my briefcase and pulled out the photograph I had taken from my old office on that fateful night with Peter. Oh, wow. Look at us. I'm still as madly in love with you as I was at the day that photo was taken. Monica smiled, took my hand, and wordlessly led me upstairs to the bedroom. Child number 3 on the way. Okay, our economy recovered a bit from our decision. Fantastic. Party leaders? Fatia Jal? Fatia Jal is a Sordish writer and politician of British descent. Okay, new face emergence. Joseph Lancier reports that a Rumburgian warplane was shot down by anti-aircraft upon violating the Sordish airspace. According to the reports of the General Staff, the plane was flying over the town of Haljan inside Sordish borders and did not retreat upon warning. Yeah, send a message. Let them know. Agnolia? Prime Minister Van Houten said in a statement that Agnolia will stand against the Valslanian harassment together with Sordland. He condemned Chancellor Hegel for trying to dominate the Marquis Sea and warned of a potential war. Last thing we need is a two-front war. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Yeah, this is it. According to intelligence reports, Valslanian Navy gathered in full force around Hageland, blockading the island. Yeah, we're gonna have to... That's another thing I would hope a DLC would have us address. And I think I said this before in a previous session, but I really want to get into, like, the Helgeland dispute. Want an interview from Karute? Lucian Glade organized an interview with for the presidency on the internationally renowned one-on-one. The famous journalist Tomos Saka will be answering questions. Will be asking the questions. Excuse me. Geopolitical. Following Rumburg's demand for reparations from Sordland, the tensions have increased dramatically between the two countries. Yesterday, a Sordish warplane has been shot by the Rumburg anti-air systems, and all of the pilots on board have been killed. As per the information from Rumburg, a Sordish warplane has trespassed into Rumburgian airspace, whereas Sordish military reports that the plane was inside Sordish borders when it was shot. The international community is unclear on the certainty of the reports from both sides. Immediately after the incident, Sordland retaliated by sending their warplanes into the Rumburg airspace and destroying a Rumburgian jet. The tensions between Rumburg and Sordland continued to increase as the largest deployment of the last decade began in eastern Makopa. Worker Party leader poisoned. Okay, so that's what it was. The leader of the Workers' Party of Bloodier is rumored to be poisoned by a nerve agent on his way from Dyer to Sana. The attack came after a speech in Dyer, where Ajal promised to clean up Sordish politics from Solism. According to our sources, he was taken to a local hospital in Sarna where he lies in a coma. Officials from the police said that the investigations are underway to find the attackers. There's a Russian lilt to that. Kibner condemns President Rayne. In a television interview, Nazi Khazar Kibner condemned President Rayne for abandoning the British Freedom Party, which he called a separatist political movement with an aim to destroy the Sordish nation. Shut up. Nationalists attempt to assassinate Ajal. Feta Ajal was poisoned on his way to Sarna to deliver a campaign speech yesterday. According to reports, he was hospitalized in critical condition. The attack is suspected to come from a nationalist organization. The attack is, which has most likely targeted Ajal due to the massive increase in the votes of the Workers' Party of Bludia. This sick attack on Ajal's life is a continuation of the deep-rooted fascism of Sordish political life. Previously it was Circus, now it's Ajal. Next it will be all of us, if we allow it to continue. According to the numbers released by the Workers' Party of Bludia, there is a massive increase in their membership, breaking a new record for the party. The polls also showed that the popularity of the party has reached new heights in Bergia, and is expected to finish first or second in the region of Bergia. So they will definitely, I'm assuming they'll be in Parliament the next time around. Election speech up. Got one more report. A large majority of conservatives have been scared off due to our reforms agenda. However, our Vice President Gloria Torre has been hosting rallies trying to sway conservative USP to our side. Sun was starting to peek through the blinds of my suite in the Grand Chariot Hotel in Enrica. I hadn't slept at all that night. I was too busy thinking about how I rallied my party's conservative base at today's election kickoff. I was just pulling on my clothes when two sharp knocks came at the door. Lucian. Good morning, sir. Morning, Lucian. Lucian unclasped his briefcase and took a small, disc-shaped device. After scanning the room, he gave a satisfied nod. I've just received the final results of your investigation into the old guard. Oh, here we go. Well, don't leave me in suspense. Lucian pulled out a folder and opened it. Mrs. Morgan's task force suspected old guard members of multiple cases of corruption and lobbying. But when they looked deeper into it, they found something truly shocking. The old guard, with the tacit approval of Tarkin Saul, directly arranged the assassination of Bernard Circus. You're joking. Since you took office, their goal was to protect Saul and his constitution. They needed an event extreme enough to distract you from making reforms. Of course, they did not succeed. I want their heads, Lucian. That may be complicated. The main conspirator was Lilius Graff. Damn it, Lilius! And then there are the dozens of assembly members and thousands of government officials who may have been aware of the assassination plot and helped cover it up. Lilius Graff will be our primary target. It's time she left politics, once and for all. Yeah, we're not... Lucian is right. We're not going to be able to get all of them, but if we cut the head off the snake, that'll go a long way. Alright, sir. I'll get to work on it when we return to Holston. Now that that's settled, I'll let you prepare for your rally. I almost forgot. The Archpriest of Dyer couldn't be present today, but wanted to relay a message of support to you and your family. What did he say? I bless the rains down in Enrique. I hate you guys. Developers, I know you can hear me. I hate you. Know that. Damn it. Lucian left the room. I finished putting on my tie and reread the notes for my morning speech. A few hours later, I was waiting in the wings of the North Sword Auditorium in Enrica. In the audience were several thousand of my conservative supporters. Behind the podium hung a Sordish flag and a giant banner that read, Your land, my land, Sordland. Peace, prosperity, and the Sordish way. Everyone cheered as I walked on stage. Though Mayor Curtin Less was now part of the opposition as a member of the NFP, it seemed most of Enrica was still on my side. Gloria gave a short speech introducing me. Then it was my turn. I stepped behind the podium and took a deep breath. Brothers and sisters of the USP, the past 3.5 years have seen our country tested over and over. Yet I stand before you now, ready to pledge myself to God and to Sordland yet again. With my re-election, I will finish pulling Sordland's economy from the depths of recession. Under my presidency, Sordish citizens have united like never before. We have brought change to our broken constitution. And I will continue to root out corruption and wrongdoing, even within this very government. Thunderous applause erupted. Sordland has changed, but the USP remains as strong as ever. There has been tremendous progress made in this term, and there's more to come. I shall run for re-election with Gloria Torrey, Sordland's first ever female vice president. Awards shook the hall. We will form a broad coalition of supporters to make sure morning finally comes. It's time to get back aboard the Rayne train. So remember, vote Rayne 57. The audience roared as streamers shot out of cannons behind me. My re-election campaign has officially begun. I stepped down from the podium. It's official. The economy is back. We are at full go. Let's do this. So Lilius has been arrested, of course. And I mentioned this earlier, like, that would have been a prime opportunity for me to pick a new Minister of Interior. But I don't think the game will give me that option. Ordered to arrest Lilius Graf for her hand in Bernard Circus's murder? Yeah, that tracks. High employment. Bergen major agricultural zone. Lauren region is accelerating its economy thanks to investments we have made. We can expect the region to become a major hub for trade and commerce. The Atlantic region is producing and exporting fish at a rapid rate. Not only that, tourists are coming to Sordland to check out its famous cold water salmon. We got almost everything. The budget still needs to be corrected. But the economy is roaring, baby. We have done it. Capitalism wins again. Pretty sure I just pissed off the radical with that one. President's wild conspiracy theories validated. In your face! The president has gone off the rails this time, insisting that Tarkin Saul fostered a deep state conspiracy along with loyal government officers, including Interior Minister Lilius Graf and certain members of the Supreme Court, that ultimately culminated in the assassination of communist Bernard Circus. Unfortunately, with Justice Minister Nia Morgan fully linked with Rayne's scheme, yeah, they're not happy, and I don't care. We got the evidence. Locking in times is a little bit more fair. The assassination of Bernard Circus, the inaugural ball event that came to define much of President Rayne's administration, has just been revealed to be the result of a plot between the young Swords and certain individuals in the so-called Old Guard, long-serving government officials in league with the policies of Colonel Tarkin Saul. The truth about the assassination was revealed following a long-simmering investigation by the Anti-Corruption Police, a new task force helmed by Justice Minister Nia Morgan. Radio youth and young Swords were once again involved in a large-scale fight. This time the issue was the vandalism of a Saul statue in Lockville. Yesterday night, according to a young Swords member who wishes to stay anonymous, said that he has seen Red Youth members put a clown wig and nose on the Saul statue at the city center. On the other hand, an anonymous Red Youth member denies the claims. Both sides seem to have their own version of the story, with no evidence from either side. What doesn't require evidence, however, is the injured 14 people lying in hospitals. We just wish that one day they will be able to get past the differences and make peace with one another. Correct. Deep State conspiracy revealed. We hate to say we told you so, but we were right all these years. The president's anti-corruption police force has revealed the extension of a vast-ranging conspiracy among the Old Guard, including Interior Minister Lilius Graf and certain members of the Supreme Court. It was this unholy alliance that, together with the young Swords, plotted the assassination of the MP and literary icon Bernard Circus at the beginning of Rayne's term. Rumor has it that Tarkin Saul, to whom we all involved owed their political popularity, was the ultimate mastermind behind this. We wouldn't be surprised. When is it enough? How long can we stand tolerant of the brutality of this fascist organization? Bernard Circus has fought for his country for the right of every sword. In return, he got a bullet from this nationalist group. Right now, the same group is beating and chasing away peaceful British protesters only because they aren't originally Sword. Still, the administration hasn't lifted a finger. Well, we are democratic, or at least that's what we tell people. I think we'll close this out with a briefing on the current economic situation. We're doing great. So I'm expecting, like, champagne and caviar. Hit me with it, Simon. I arrived at the Ministry of Economy and proceeded upstairs. An assistant waiting by the door to the meeting room took my jacket. I opened the door and entered the largest boardroom in the building. Simon was sitting alone with a glass of water and his documents laid out before him. He stood up when I entered and approached me. After a quick handshake, I took a seat. Good afternoon, Mr. President. How's it going? I'm pretty swamped with work. Barely getting any time with the family. The glee in his voice was barely disguised. This nerd. Let me try reading that again with the proper notation. I'm pretty swamped with work. Barely getting any time with the family. A knock was heard at the door and Gloria entered the room. Apologies, I got held up. Did you start yet? Mrs. Vice President. No, not yet. Now that everyone is here, let's begin. As you all know, we are here to review the economic progress we made over the past term and decide how to proceed. I'll brief you quickly on what we have done so far, just as a refresher. Very well, let's hear it. He gathered the documents in the pile in front of him and adjusted his glasses. From the pile, he produced 2 booklets and handed them to us. Our extra focus on the economy has resulted in some small-scale positive growth. The extra resources have been a boon to my ministry. It would be great if we followed up this focus during our next term. Let's take a deep dive into the details now. Please turn to page 5. Turn to page 5. Let's start off with our economy plan. I'm glad to say that we are on track with our initial plan for a market economy. Most of our decisions so far have been pretty consistent. Thank you for your efforts, Simon. Indeed. Good job, Mr. Hall. Thank you. You are too kind. Let's move on with the report. If I were to describe what we have done so far, I would say that it is very close to a laissez-faire economic system. Please turn to page 16. Turn to page 16, titled Status of Trade and the Effects of Foreign Policy. I am happy to say that our trade has increased since the beginning of our term. We are on the right path. More trade means a more vibrant economy, which means unbridled economic development. For better or for worse, Sordland is becoming quite reliant on foreign economies. It is shameful that a great country like Sordland has to rely on other countries. We need to become self-reliant as soon as possible. Globalization is at our doorstep whether we like it or not. We need to aim for a more balanced approach. We will have to carefully consider this matter during our second term. Please turn to page 17. More investments will allow us to do more economic programs in Sordland. That'll make us a little bit more reliant. Right now the economy is doing great, so that's fine with me. I turn to page 17. In our attempt to repair Sordland's economic system, we went for a mixed approach. We tried to cater to the need of both businesses and Sordish citizens, like what we did, yeah. It has been a delicate balance. Thankfully, living standards are steadily increasing. We've been receiving fewer and fewer complaints about our welfare systems. Good. Keeping citizens happy is integral to keeping Sordland stable. Exactly. Some of our industries have also been knocked down to their knees by our recent taxations. The demand for these goods have decreased drastically, which led to businesses in these industries being shut down. Some people are calling the government out for infringing on their personal liberty. Apparently, some even filed lawsuits saying taxes violate their human dignity. Their lawyers argued for them that they need it for mental health treatment. Hilarious. Now turn to page 34. Our production rate has gone down since the beginning of the term. We are at a low point right now. We had to make sacrifices and cuts. Of course we had to, but we might have made the wrong ones. What matters is the big picture. Moving on to logistics. We have an infrastructure problem, and the economy won't truly flourish until we solve it. We need to make new roads and improve the existing ones. People and businesses alike have been complaining. Smoother commutes, easier access, and faster delivery times would help everyone out. We are very close to the end. I want to talk about a few numbers. Please turn to 57. Please turn to page 57. I prepared a chart. Turn to page 57. Our inflation rate is currently at an amazing 2%, down from 7%. It's the lowest Sordland has ever seen. The Sordish rent value has been largely maintained and consumer prices have been stabilized, which means that Sordish citizens are happier. And we are writing history here. Agreed. Mr. President, do you have any questions so far? How are we doing with unemployment? The unemployment rate is at 5%, down from 16%. That is a miracle. The change is mostly due to our investments and wise economic planning. What is the latest numbers on our GDP? Our current GDP is at 513 billion SR, a major increase from the 310 billion SR we had at the beginning of our term. As per the latest stats, the economy grew 16% in the last 4 years on average. In short, we are enjoying an increased economical capacity. What is our debt situation? Our debt is at 310 billion Sordish rent, down from the 427 billion Sordish rent at the beginning of our term. Let's go. We managed to bring it down quite a bit. As a result, international investment has increased along with our government budget. Those are the questions I had. Very well. I want to quickly highlight our budget expenditure. My numbers indicate that overall we have been fairly balanced in spending our government budget. A balanced approach is good. However, we shouldn't forget that money that is not spent is just a piece of paper. Now, going into the elections and hopefully a second term, we need to decide on the way forward. One thing is clear. We need a bigger budget. We shouldn't start our next term with a budget deficit. What should we do, Mr. President? Any ideas? It won't be very popular, but we will be in the black with it. Let's go ahead and get this loan. We will take an international loan from MFI. This will pose quite a risk to the reputation of our administration, but it can be done. I'll get right on that after this meeting. Now that that's out of the way. During our first term, we faced many challenges in the midst of a recession. We have worked hard to fight against all odds, and we have beaten every single one of them. I probably could have passed those taxes then. Now that I think about it, I probably could have passed those taxes. It would just hurt me in public opinion. We have solved our country's social problems and quelled the people's dissatisfaction. We have beaten a life-threatening disease, stopping it dead in its tracks before it could spread and damage our economy. No pun intended. You may have surmised from the data I've given you that the worst of the recession is behind us. In fact, you'd be absolutely correct. We have entered what future historians might refer to as the Sordish recovery period. This warrants a celebration for sure. I like the sound of it. Sordish recovery period. We have done well. History will remember the Rayne administration as the one that ended the recession. Congratulations, everyone. This was only a dream a few years ago, and we have achieved it. Mr. President, we will go out for drinks later, but for now, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming. The meeting dispersed. I hurried to the cafeteria to get a cup of coffee. So we are in the black, or the yellow, as the case may be. More tensions between the red youth and the young swords. Earlier this week, there was a violent clash between the red youth and the young swords. It started with both sides protesting peacefully. Unfortunately, a red youth member decided to attack a young sword member over the death of Bernard Circus, which happened a while ago. With this incident, the peaceful protest escalated to a full-on melee. Ugh, ugly business. So we'll go through these reports. Well, we'll go through these reports right quick, and that will really be it. Celebrations in Suzerain. Remember, many of the locals in Suzerain gathered at the city square to celebrate the revocation of the ban of the British Freedom Party. The mayor of Suzerain reported that the amnesty and the revocation was greeted by the Suzerainers with festivities. Dancing and singing continued well into the night. My voice is getting tired, so we'll go through this quickly. The city's growth is expected to increase by 200%. Internal statistics show that Sarna will be able to rival Dire in the next decade if trends maintain. This success is attributed to the recent government investments and policies in the region. Sarna has the potential to be the center of trade and commerce for West Sordland. Yeah, I probably could have avoided the loan altogether if I would have just raised taxes, since that economic boost was on the way. British Freedom Party joined the election race immediately after being legalized. The BFP announced that Ramuz Kojak will be the party's presidential candidate. Their first rally will be held in Dire tomorrow. The National Front Party has welcomed General Lutheran's son into their midst in Holsworth today. Oh, him. Seeing Lutheran back in politics is shocking to many citizens. General Lutheran infamously organized the military coup against former President Vesey that led to the Sordish Civil War. Mr. Kemner has organized the event to appeal to his voter base. This is a symbolic step for the NFP, as Lutheran was arguably the most well-known nationalist in Sordland. Walter Tusk has made a donation of 5 million SR to our election campaign. Luxembourg Group has also volunteered to help with the election and assured us that their polling experts will be aiding the campaign group. The oligarchs are on our side. I mean, with this much money coming into the country, they'd be fools not to be. The mayor of Moorville has reported that the city saw thrice the economic growth that was expected. Based on the delivered reports, businesses are competing to open their shops in the city. We can expect the city to grow into an industrial and commercial hub in the future. More good news, like good news all across the board from our sound policy. Together with the verification of the ban on the BFP and the subsequent amnesty, about 6,000 people who were arrested in the 1930s and 40s for their ties to the Bluish Freedom Front have now been released. 72 high-profile Bluish political prisoners who were held up in the maximum security Anton Rayne prison were also released. Good, let them go. Citizens of Leckburg expressed their gratitude for the new investments and policies that led to the increased development of the region. Recent data indicates that the fish exports have quadrupled since we took office, and that new industries began to flourish. Not only did the city become the main competitor to all fish exporters in the region, but also began to house a tourism hub in Agland. Good news literally all across the board. This is a prosperous nation. This is a nation on the upward swing. If the people don't vote for us, they've lost their minds. As the 1957 elections starts to approach, Franz Richter and the People's Freedom and Justice Party are making waves in Lockhaven. Their campaign slogan, "Victory for Everyone," covered the city after a campaign visit to the city. The PFJP has been the United Sordland Party's major opposition since their formation, each year earning a higher percentage of the vote. That election is upcoming. We got an interview in the next turn, but that'll be in the future session. For now, leave a like if you've enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. And VNSNow.com, that is VNSNow.com. More announcements on that coming soon enough. I'll catch y'all in the next one.